But in tests, you want to take that home advantage. But what is the advantage if you
Good.
yourself cannot bet on these tracks? If you can't win, if
Hello and welcome, everyone. All of a sudden, the World Cup is over and Surya Kumar Yadav can hold a bat again. Bangladesh know how to win a game outside of Mirpur, and surprisingly not in Mirpur. On the other hand, West Indies and England are somehow fairly decent in ODIs once again. All these crazy things are happening. Hardik Pandya is back in Mumbai, and Alvi Islam is back in Bagherhata. So is Sabir Hossain Sagor, and the usual suspects, Fardin Kibriya and I, are here. So this is our first weekly video after the World Cup. I think the cricket fatigue took place amongst fans and maybe a bit for us as well, but that's over. That lasted for a good 20 to 30 minutes, and now it's over. So, Gibbs, let's start with Bangladesh versus New Zealand, the very first test after the World Cup. Of course, the World Test Championship is recontinuing. We can't forget about that.
Yeah.
Solid start for Bangladesh with the win in Sylhet, and then they just shot themselves in the foot.
Yeah. I mean, if you think about it, the coach said after the World Cup that his work starts right now, with this New Zealand series at home and all of that. And, you know, they had a good start with that Sylhet test, like you said, where I think Bangladesh through and through were the better team. They played really good cricket throughout. Um, and we talked about it in our post match review last week when that game finished. But similar story again when you turn up to Mirpur, they roll out a similar page. I think even like pre-game, there was just too much drama going on with, um, you know, opposition players not being allowed to see the pitch. Uh, you know, but your coach can go and see the pitch and things like that. These are not things you see in every country, right? And when you start doing things like that, it just looks foolish. It starts looking stupid on you. And I think despite all the performance and everything, I think when you round it out with the press conference Shanto gave and where he's talking about, oh, we are here to win, we are not here to practice. And, it's starting to look a lot comical again. Once again, the World Cup was comical. It looked like, there was a new group of players playing some good cricket for a week there. And then it looks like we're back to comedy circus again.
Alvi, how bizarre is that statement to make that, we're not here to practice, we're here to win after you're literally losing a game?
I think there was news that the captain would be chosen based off of who is easier to manipulate as
Hmm.
opposed to
Yeah. Yeah.
who has a more stronger stance as for their opinions. And I think we're starting to see that to some extent, where you see Shanto, who just a couple of weeks ago said back home we should be playing on better pitches, but now all of a sudden it's 180 degrees around, and he's supporting the kind of pitch we played on in Mirpur. I think he did mention that we do need to play on better wickets on one days in ODIs and for white ball formats,
Yeah.
but in tests you want to take that home advantage. But what is the advantage if you
Good.
yourself cannot bet on these tracks? If you can't win, if
Yeah.
the highest score for a batsman throughout the series is 160,
Yeah.
and if you've only if you've only bowled the equivalent of 2 days worth of bowling, less than that, less than 180 overs,
Yeah.
how is this acceptable? Let's forget the advantage part. A test match is supposed to be played over 5 days. If it's a really good or bad test match, arguably 3 days. But if you're finishing it in 2 days, that's not a test match. That's great cricket, a 2-day cricket game.
Yeah.
So
Could
it's
have
not
played
really
it on a
helping you.
weekend on a Saturday
It's
at the park, right? Yeah.
it's not helping anybody.
Yeah.
If we're gonna win games like this, I mean, attempt to win and then not win eventually. Yeah, he said we're not here to learn, we're here to win, but you didn't win. So what are you trying to prove? And beyond that, we're really seeing how there was a notion that Haturu Singh is mostly concerned about results. He doesn't care what pitch we're playing on. He doesn't care what the visuals are. He just wants results by hook or by crook, and we're seeing that again. You know,
Mhm.
the wicket that I don't think the wicket was even made. This is not a made wicket.
This is
It's not a
doctor.
prepared wicket.
This is-
Not even doctored. It's
Mhm.
just left out there.
Yeah.
You've done nothing to the wicket.
Yeah.
Honestly, you can leave a wicket open for years and it'll
Yeah.
behave better than this.
Yeah.
You can do nothing to a wicket, and that will play out better than this wicket. So, like we're hearing, Gamini he can't even make a wicket. He doesn't have the skills to prepare a wicket. He just does what he likes, and then whatever turns up, that's it. If you look at Tony Hemming, he made the select wicket in I think around 10 days, and Gamini's been here for over 12 years, I think now.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
hasn't been able to make a wicket even close to it.
Mhm.
So
And
it's
then you
it's
have the
really the culture.
outfield that looks like a paddy field, literally like a paddy
The
field.
outfield, I remember maybe 10 years ago, I was watching a game that was happening in Mirpur. I was watching on the TV, and
Yeah.
my mom asked me, "Where is this being played?"
Yeah.
Because it was so nice. I said
Yeah.
it's in Mirpur, and she couldn't believe it. It was that good
They
10 years
used to
ago
have
from now.
like those patterns on the outfield and
You would
everything.
have
This, that.
patterns. The grass
Yeah.
was uniformly green. You wouldn't
Yeah.
have brown patches. You wouldn't
Yeah.
have patches of sand or wet areas. It was all uniform. The grass was evenly cut. It was, you had the patterns, and it wasn't falling apart like yesterday. How we saw, one of the players'
Inner
knees dug
sheds,
into it.
tin sheds and stuff. Freaking on the
Oh,
on the
forget
roof.
that. I'm just talking about the
Oh yeah,
ground. We
yeah.
are only talking
When we were watching
about the playing
together, yeah,
surface.
yeah, yeah. When
Yeah,
we were watching
not
together, yeah,
forget the stadium for a moment. Just the playing surface.
yeah,
I mean, you could probably play on parks in Australia that would have better playing surfaces
yeah,
or an
100%.
outfield than in Bangladesh.
Yeah,
Isn't
We have better dog parks here.
part of the reason Mirpur is possibly being exhausted like this is because we're not going to see any more cricket there once the boat stadium is ready. Basically, I think we'll have to say goodbye to Mirpur. I think that's the whole point.
So another 5 years, at least.
I guess.
The boat was supposed to be ready last year.
last year, yeah. But I think even more than that, it's basically this whole thing that they have. If you ask any team, if you ask any opposition for their input on where they want to play in terms of facilities, in terms of things like that, no one will say they don't want to play at Dhaka, right? Because obviously you have the hotels, you have the airport, people can come in and out, you have the practice ability to come to practice by bus, things like that as a team. But no one signs up for wickets like this. When they come for a pre-tour inspection or when they have conversations on where you're gonna play matches, no one agrees to play on a wicket like that. A wicket's prepared before the match, right? And for Southee to come and say, I am really ashamed as a Bangladesh fan, as someone who watches Bangladesh cricket, and I think you guys will be too, for us to treat New Zealand the way we have treated them, given that when other big countries never wanted to travel to Bangladesh, did not want to even invite Bangladesh to their home grounds. New
Still don't,
Zealand
by the way.
still don't. Exactly. New Zealand has been one of those teams that has consistently hosted Bangladesh or visited Bangladesh. And if after this series they kind of decide that, why put our players through something like this for no reason, we can't be asked to blame them, because end of the
We should
day,
support them.
yeah,
We
exactly.
should support them because it's unsafe for their players. If you see the way Devon Conway almost got hit multiple times, if you see
Yeah.
the way Kane got hit,
And he's coming
what's the
off
point?
injury and he's almost getting hit on the thumb like four or
Hit on
five
the same
times.
area.
Yeah,
So why
exactly.
would you come here, not score runs, play on this, dhan pat ke of a wicket,
Yeah.
lose games, make yourselves look like idiots because you can't bet, regardless of where you're playing,
Yeah. Devin
and then get
Conway looked
injured?
so pissed off when he got out on the fourth innings yesterday, where he's
Not
just
just
like,
pissed off,
yeah,
but you're
what is
making a
this?
guy like Devon Conway, you're making him look like he can't bet,
Yeah,
whereas the
yeah,
pitch is unplayable. It's unsafe to bet on this pitch. So
yeah,
if you look at it from a player's perspective, they wouldn't want that for their careers. I mean,
yeah,
sure, everyone enjoys a challenge. You see
yeah,
guys like Marnus, you watch his social media. He's on, he's in his balcony. He's playing spin. He's made a pitch inside his house to play spin. He's got sandpaper, funnily enough,
yeah,
stuck on the floor with tape, and he's got a ball which is half taped and half not taped.
yeah,
So you can see him practicing, for the one that turns, the one that grips, the one that goes on, the skids on. So he is practicing spin. Don't get me wrong, players want to play spin
spin,
if it's in
yeah,
India or Pakistan or Bangladesh or the UAE or whatever.
yeah,
But there's got to be a standard, there's got to be a threshold. You can't, walk to a wicket and the second ball or even the first ball of an innings, you can't roll through. I mean, it's ridiculous.
Sagar, how delusional is it in 2023 you are completely unaware of the fact that New Zealand can actually play spin fairly well and they can bowl spin fairly well, and your batters are completely clueless on these sort of wickets? How delusional is it that you think this is giving you some sort of an advantage?
I think it's very much delusional because also looking at the Sylhet test, it was not like it was a better wicket, but it was spinning as well. And we saw a bowler like a non-bowler like Glenn Phillips
Yeah,
almost pick up 5 wicket hauls, right?
yeah.
And also the other spinner Ishodi was a bit inconsistent, but still he was getting a couple of
Bangladesh is
wickets.
so lucky Mitchell Santner did not play that test.
Yeah. So I think they should have learned the lesson in Sylhet and like actually prepared pitch better than or similar to Sylhet and not a ranked turner. This is actually, I would say, like worse than the Mehdi Hasan Miraj 6 4 or 7 4 against England when
Yeah,
they lost 10 wickets in a session because as Alvi was mentioning, this was a dangerous pitch because in the fourth innings you could see Devon Conway, the first ball was rolling through, second ball was nearly his hitting his face, but from the same length.
yeah,
So I don't think that was a good play by Bangladesh, and also it sets a very bad standard and example to the cricketing world because, as Fardin said, New Zealand have been great comrades to Bangladesh. They have been coming and they have been allowing us to go to their shores, and we are making a person like Southee say this is the worst pitch he has ever played in his career. That's not a good thing for Bangladesh cricket.
Now let's look at the Sylhet test for a while. The Sylhet test was absolutely magnificent in terms of what the conditions offered. It was, in a sense, a proper sporting wicket that you expect in the subcontinent. In the subcontinent, you're not going to get a sporting wicket that's too seamer friendly, that
yeah.
has a lot for the pacers and the batters. No, it's supposed to be something like this, something that has even bounce, just a bit of uneven spots here and there. And other than that, it offers a lot of spin for the spinners. It offers something for the batters as well. The moment they're set, they can absolutely capitalize. We saw Williamson do that. We saw Shanta do that. I think one of the things Rinath Bhai said during one of our Facebook lives was that, and I think that that pretty much sums it up. In Mirpur, as a batter, you are never set. It's never rewarding for you as a batter to
Yeah,
bat well in Mirpur because you're never too comfortable. You can get out at any point of time. You can see the ball well, sure, but the pitch, it's going to start acting up at any moment, which I think is a very good thing about the Sylhet pitch and how consistently it performed across the 5 days. So, keeping that in mind, what are some of the positive takeaways that Bangladesh and possibly even New Zealand could take away from that Sylhet test, and where they kind of nullified by the time they came to Mirpur?
I think with the way you saw someone like Shadat Dipu, even I think he batted really well in that first innings in Dhaka too. He really applied himself well. And some people might say, "Oh, 30 is not a good score, but 30 is like 90 in Mirpur." Um, but I think if you look at the way he batted, if you look at the way Williamson batted, or even Shanto batted, or Glenn Phillips for that sake, I think in wickets like this, if you allow yourself to get bogged down, if you allow yourself to essentially go into a shell, people start building pressure on you, you get 4 or 5 guys around the bat, that's when you'll give your wicket away. But once you start playing, you still have that positive intent, you still have that intent to score runs, find gaps and things like that, something that Daryl Mitchell has been doing really well in world cricket in the past 12 to 16 months or so. Um, I think that is something that New Zealand will take away a lot, and Bangladesh will take away because the way Shanto batted to counterattack that way, and as a captain to essentially come out and put a really stamping authority on it, it goes well for him going forward. But then you come out, you scored like 10 at Mirpur. Obviously, throw your wicket away in 2 innings it undoes everything that you learned in the last game. But I think for New Zealand, I was surprised that Rachin Ravindra didn't play because given his run of form in the World Cup, but I think I think it tells you a lot about how other teams plan and how Bangladesh would plan. If we had a guy score 500 plus runs at the World Cup, he would be playing every match of every format for the next 10 years.
Yeah,
But
I would have played him ahead of Williamson even.
yeah, exactly, right? But then I think New Zealand has such a settled batting lineup, they would have had to drop Glenn Phillips to play Rachin Ravindra. And I don't think they were going to do that because Phillips basically won them the test match here in Dhaka, right?
Yeah, but how good a performance was that from Glenn Phillips, especially the one in Mirpur? He performed well in Sylhet as well, as you said, but that Mirpur innings was exceptional. And how far does this go into solidifying his test career, which was really not going anywhere before the series?
Man played one test in Australia and then everyone forgot that
That
he
one random test in Sydney
ran.
because everyone was injured there at that time.
Exactly. Yeah, they just had to fly in this guy and play him. Bangladesh has a trend of making part timers into full time bowlers, and I think Glenn Phillips will go on to take 100 test wickets now.
We've even made bowlers into batters. Kyle Mayer's got a 200.
Oh yeah, Kyle Mayer's got a 200, and
But to be fair, he was a batting all rounder to begin with. So,
and then
He
everyone.
opened
He
one.
wasn't. He wasn't an opener, was he?
But he wasn't
he was
opening
never
in
supposed to be an
international.
opener at
Even,
first.
Yeah.
even he was an opener, he was not a test opener. That's for sure.
Yeah, but now he's probably
Now-
opening everywhere. Yeah.
Yeah. But actually, the point that you make, the point that you asked, Rahimul, about Glenn Phillips' future in Tests, I think, like, not a popular view, but in New Zealand or in England, in those countries, his bowling won't be much
No,
useful.
he's gonna be
So,
more so. Yeah.
and if you take Tom Blundell as a keeper, because New Zealand don't like to, change too much, his position will solely be based on his batting and of course fielding, but we know most New Zealand players are very good in the field.
Yeah.
So it all comes down to him, like his batting and someone else's batting, maybe Will Young, maybe Rachin Ravindra,
Yeah.
Mark Chapman in the future, who knows. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's the only thing I can say.
New Zealand needs Chauhan as their keeper.
Maybe that's actually a very good point. I was gonna come to this. How disappointing is it? Again, this man. I know the conditions were difficult, but the man is practically dancing around in the crease. It's just uncomfortable to watch.
I sort of backed him up at the end of the first test. I thought his approach was okay. He wasn't getting runs, but his approach it seemed reasonable enough. And then you come to the second test in Mirpur, and once again the approach wasn't questionable, I'd say, because that's what you need. You need to go and get your runs. You can't wait for runs to come to you. You have to attack. You have to get a quick fire 30, 40, get something and get some runs on the board. Because if you stay there, the longer you stay there, the more you risk yourself of getting out. But if you're getting your runs quickly, even if you do get out eventually, you will have already gotten the runs before that. But in the last inning, his batting seemed very, yeah, I know what we said. He's jumping around this and that. But in the last inning, he could have avoided all these risks. You don't need to lap after you've just almost been given the ball before. And he was already in position before the ball was bowled. I mean, there's a
Yeah.
time and place for everything. First of all, that's not the shot you should be playing. And then
You can't even
do go
trust the
through with the
bounce on
shot.
this pitch to be playing that shot.
You go through with the shot, and you've already told the bowler you're going to play the shot. So doesn't add up. So I think for him, he could have been a lot more proactive. Like, let's say we were saying on the watch party, Naeem Hassan, he's batting with more. Let's say he's batting more textbook. He's got his foot in front, he's got his bat down, angle down, he's watching the ball onto the bat. Chauhan could have done that. We're not telling him to stay there and block everything, but he could have played textbook and gotten yourself 10, 20 runs, and that's all you need on a Mirpur wicket. But I think Chauhan is trying to play T20 far too often, and this pitch does call for an attacking batsman. It does call for a T20 sort of mindset. But Chauhan is going beyond T20. He's playing, what people are calling, 420 Bajpaki, 480 degree, all that stuff. You don't have to play reverse sweeps all the time. In Bangladesh, it's become sort of a norm that to play positively or to attack means to play a reverse sweep. We saw Taijul hitting reverse sweeps yesterday.
Yeah.
He's the number 8 or number 9 batsman. He should not be hitting reverse sweeps. You see guys like Tajul playing reverse sweeps. You see, Daryl Mitchell. He played almost 5 or 6 reverse sweeps yesterday, but a reverse sweep is not the shot to play on this pitch. Yes, you have to be attacking, you have to be positive, but a reverse sweep is like it's a novelty shot. Once every 2-3 games maybe. In T20, okay, fair enough. But in tests, you can just put that away. You do not need the reverse sweep unless you're Mushfiq. So, yeah, Shohan, he doesn't have the numbers on paper to back his approach, unfortunately.
Come on, Mominul
Kind of.
Haq,
Ah,
known as our
Shagor,
test, quote unquote,
Shagor
test
versus
specialist.
Kibria.
Shakur versus Kim. I never said I want him to get dropped, right? I never said I want Mominul to get dropped. I don't even think Mominul should be getting dropped. But this is what I feel, and these are my instincts. And my instinct can be absolutely wrong, but this happens very, very regularly in Bangladesh cricket. Is they need to find someone to drop. They need to find
Scapegoat.
someone to scapegoat essentially for any batting failures or any team failures. Because before the second game, PCB announces a whole prize money if they win the series, things like that. All that build up, and then it doesn't happen. They need to find someone to push the blame on, and they will never do it to the system. They'll never do it to the coaching staff. They'll never do it to the ones who need to be made accountable. But who in this lineup, Sohan is already dispensable, right? Because Litton comes in, he's dispensable, he's done. Naim Hassan, he's a 16th, 15th member. He's gonna be in a 15-member squad after this test series because of he's bowled better than Mehdi Miraj. Everyone knows that, right? He's bowled better than Mehdi Miraj.
Mirpur Hassan Miraj.
Mirpura. On almost every test he's played till now, he's bowled better than Miraj, and you can see that he's a much, much, much better off spinner in a test match scenario. And we go to other countries and other situations, his height and things will come into play. So in this whole lineup, Mominul is the only one that is dispensable because they can just look at him and say out, bring another young batter in, bring Shakib in if he's available, bring someone else in if there. Because if Naim and Sohan are dropped, which they will probably be, because Miraj gets his right to stay in the lineup. Obviously, a pacer comes in. If you go to any other country, this that. Who else is gonna get dropped? They're not gonna drop Shahid Dipu after what he's done in these two test matches, because then Abdul Razzaq's gonna get his ass beat online for saying, "Oh yeah, this guy's gonna play long term for Bangladesh" and stuff like that. So from that context, I said if he didn't perform in this series, this is what's gonna happen to him, and that's like my instinct saying, because I've seen what's happened in Bangladesh cricket for last, I don't know, 20
And he's
years.
not getting runs. Mominul's not getting runs.
Yeah.
It's a correct assessment, but I just want to say that Bangladesh's next series, we have to look at the immediate next
Sri
test
Lanka,
series,
right?
is supposed to be against Sri Lanka after the BPL.
Mhm.
So around that time,
In
after
Bangladesh.
BPL, there's usually 1 or 2 injuries here and there, and
Sakib's
Mominul
not gonna
might
be
do well.
available
Mominul,
regardless. Sakib's
Mominul
gonna
might
be
play the
available.
BPL, might do well.
Mominul
No.
doesn't even have a team in
If he if he does play the BPL, let's say
he can
hypothetically,
get drafted in last second. That
Oh,
always
yeah,
happens.
yeah.
he
in
might.
cricket.
That is always-
I
Yeah.
wouldn't write that off.
So let's
Yeah,
say
yeah.
he gets the team and he scores, let's say 200 runs. He scores 250s, 200 runs throughout the season. He's in the test team, easy. On form only.
Yeah. In
And
Bangladesh,
based on some other player getting injured,
yeah,
maybe.
yeah.
Mominul won't get dropped. There will be controversy that a person with a 40 average in this lineup is being dropped for someone like
And then
maybe the
and then they will come.
But
to
they're
the
dropping
press conference.
Sohan with the 80 average for Litton, for 25 average.
Yeah.
No, but Sohan's 80 average is in ODIs, though. That's the difference.
sample size. What's the sample size? Like
You need
4
to ask
ODIs.
Kibria.
I need to- No. But my point was never that, guy. My point is totally different. That when Sri Lanka series comes, Bangladesh, I want to be hopeful. I think they will play 2 pacers against Sri Lanka. Maybe.
That's the
When
home
Sri Lanka
series, right?
When
Yeah.
the Sri Lanka
Home series.
series comes, what no one does is there's gonna be more dhula than khela.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
gonna be
yeah.
everything.
All these
It's
things.
gonna be all about
It's gonna
this.
be
It's
disgusting.
gonna
It's
be
gonna be
this.
ugly.
It's
Yeah,
gonna
yeah,
be
yeah,
this.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
gonna
It's
be
gonna be
everything
ugly.
beyond the cricket.
And I won't even be surprised if the tour doesn't go on. If the tour doesn't happen, I won't be surprised
I
because
want to
Sri
see
Lanka
fighting. I
has
don't
so
mind.
No,
many
we've
off.
gone through more terrible problems with Sri Lanka than what we're going
No, no,
through
no.
now, and we
Because
don't
of Sri
cancel
Lanka's
tours for that.
off-field problems, because of their government
I
issues.
think they'll manage.
Oh, the
Again,
ICC thing.
when Zimbabwe
I
were
think they'll
about
be
to lose
okay.
their
Yeah.
status a couple of times, we were the ones who, hosted a series for them. We even toured them when no one else was touring. So these things have happened in the past. We've done the same thing with Sri Lanka in 2019 when no one was touring them after the terrorist attack. Bangladesh were the first team to tour them. Is there any gratitude from their side? No. Do we even acknowledge those things? No.
2019. 2019.
Yes, Alvi. 2019, there was a terror attack. Even a very influential family from Bangladesh
Okay,
got
sir.
affected in
I
the
got
terror
mixed
attack.
up. I got mixed up with Pakistan. My bad. I got mixed up with Pakistan.
Pakistan's terror attacks are more frequent, unfortunately. Anyways, now let's focus on that got real. Anyways, let's focus now on what are we supposed to focus on?
West Indies, England. You wanna
Well,
look at
Let's
that?
focus on us still not having a sponsor, and players are already going to New Zealand. I've seen Raki Bull. Thank God he got rid of his highlights, the Michael Stark highlights. Yeah.
Bijay actually
So
put his hair in like a bun now.
okay, Bijoy. As much as we love him, he is an attention-seeking player. I'll say player. He likes the attention. He likes lights, camera because everybody else just walked through. Everybody else walked right through the crowd, past the Shangatiks into the terminal. But
Shangatix.
Bijoy had to give an interview because he
Man,
loves it. And why not? Why not? You live it up. You work so hard for this life. You enjoy it. You take in the small moments. He gave his interview, but I didn't hear a word. All I saw is that we were wearing blue jackets and blue travel t-shirts with no sponsor.
just BCB logo. That's it.
Just BCB logo. Is this an A tour? What's happening? Also, are we getting a new jersey for the New Zealand series?
New jersey. First, they have to find logos to put on the chest and the main
So are
below.
they wearing the World Cup jerseys with tape on top of the Daraz writing?
And tape on top of the World Cup logo.
Oh, and the World Cup logo.
might as well
Now
just put
that's a
Bangladesh
classic
sticker on it
BPL
right now.
jersey.
That's classic. And then they can put some random covers on the helmet and put a
Yeah.
sticker on top, and it will look.
Yeah, we could put Bagarat down there. Actually, we need to speak to the CEO.
Yeah, ring him up. Ring him up.
Short while ago, West Indies, I say short while because it's just been a few minutes, West Indies have sealed the series against England. It was a hard fought series, and what was refreshing, I would say, is no talk about ODIs and bilaterals being useless, this and that. You should only play World Cups, you should do this, that. No, these were two
Funny
teams
how
who were
that
going
stopped
through a
as soon
rough
as.
time.
Yeah, yeah.
England
No,
with the
sorry.
World Cup, West Indies with the qualification before the World Cup. They realized that no, it's time we actually put a proper focus on these bilateral series because they can actually help us improve in many ways. And this was a proper hard fought series. It was so refreshing to watch. They didn't treat it as the end of the world or the biggest tournament that's happening. They just treated it for what it is. And that's why it was so enjoyable to watch. And that's why the players played their best cricket.
Yeah, to be honest, with this West Indies series, freaking Sagar keeps updating the group chat every 2 minutes about what's happening in this series. But more than that, I think for England, this was a very refreshing team to watch. I think when you have a lot of young guys come in, I heard in the press conferences, or sorry, in some of the interviews that ex-England players were doing, that apparently Rob Key essentially gave Will Jacks kind of a sure shot that he was going to open all three matches in the series here. So when young guys have that kind of an assurance, they can come in and perform a little bit better. We saw that in the first match with Harry Brook, Will Jacks in the second game, and things like that. These guys looked like they were doing much, much better. So as a team, I think England's played good cricket. It just they didn't play the way we've known to come England since 2015, and that's still showing. I think what this is West Indies' first series win against England in white ball cricket in 25 years in West Indies.
in West Indies.
Crazy.
Yeah, the most refreshing part about this series was the youngsters on show. If you look at the both of the squads, I think there are like 3 or 4 players who are renowned, like
Yeah.
Shea
Sheho.
and like Josh Butler. But apart from that, most of them are like young guys wanting to establish their careers and not playing T10. For example, Will Jacks,
Yeah.
he appears in every franchise tournament.
Mhm.
He has sacrificed those, and he has come to this ODI setup right after a World Cup. But the next World Cup is 4 years later. So I
Yeah.
think this is a sign of the dedication of the next generation of England players that they want to play for the country, as has been reflected by their 2 or 3 year central contracts. Also from the West Indies, they just came off a Super 50 domestic competition. So the players were very much, oiled up for
Excited.
this.
Yeah.
They were playing a lot of games, competitive games, and then coming to this big series against England, their youngsters were lot like pumped up, and also they had that they couldn't qualify for the World Cup. They had that thing in mind that they need to show, they need to prove that they're
They're
still a
not
part.
dying. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that their cricket is still there and they can compete with the best, and that's what they've shown. Players like Alik Athenazi and Casey Carty, not many people know about them, right? To be
No.
honest, I didn't know much about them.
Yeah.
But these guys come in the team and they score 50s and take their team home.
I
A lot
talked
of,
so much shit about Kesey Cardi today. This guy scored a 50. I was
yeah,
so pissed off after his first 2 matches. I was like, what is this, man? And then I scored a
yeah,
50 today. But yeah, did you guys see? There's a lot of uproar before the series on Darren Bravo not getting
yeah.
picked and then Shane Dowridge retiring suddenly
After being picked,
after
34,
being
that's like
picked.
fairly
After
young.
yeah, after being picked in the
yeah,
ODI
that was a
squad.
little bit suspicious. I don't know
Yeah.
what happened there with Dowrich, but with Dan Bravo, it's common. Like the Windy selectors, they are kind of into this. Like they don't pick the Bravos for some reason.
Yeah, and
I think it's been pretty clear because they've given Darren a lot of goals in the past based on his domestic performances. They haven't translated at all. So I
Rakimal, you
think at
remember
this age,
we saw him play at Toronto. I mean in
oh
Brampton
man,
for the
it was so
GT20.
uncomfortable.
Couldn't even like meet bat on ball, like right. And I said this to one of the Caribbean cricket podcast guys on Twitter, and I said, I saw him in Toronto. He couldn't even touch the ball. So like okay, he performed in Super 50, but when he's coming to the pressure situation of a tournament or a series and stuff, he just looks so out of sort. I like Matthew Ford was playing in the same tournament, and he actually had a really good tournament, coming off the back of his LPL season where he also did really well. And then for him to come out and have a really good debut today just shows his promise and things like that. Whereas with Darren Bravo, I think you can say, yeah, you pick K. John Oatley, who's a year younger than Darren Bravo, but I think, like you said, with Bravo, they've given him so many chances. They've tried that ship many times. They've tried to row it as far as possible, but it just hasn't gone to plan. And sometimes it turns out like that, with some younger prodigies.
With our focus still on West Indies, Sherfane Rutherford having a good innings.
Hmm.
There was
Another T10
really good
legend
batting that we've
who played the ODI series.
no, these are actually like typical names you see on every franchise league roster, and then they're here playing for the national team, I guess technically.
I think Sherfane Rutherford's career has actually gone reverse compared to a
Yeah,
lot of people. People try to play international cricket, and then towards the end of their career they try to go and play these leagues and win trophies and stuff. Sherfane Rutherford's won every T20 tournament out there, by the way, already. He's won IPL, PSL, CPL, this, that,
at
everything.
25.
At 25, he's won every single T20 trophy. So I think at this time, he's like, all right, I'm ready to play some international cricket regularly. And Romario Shepherd did his cap presentation before the first ODI, and one of the things Romario said that it was really nice for me to hear from you during the Super 50 that you wanted to play ODI cricket for West Indies, and I'm glad that Darren's given you that chance, and I'm glad that you're here to take that chance, and I hope that you'll continue to serve the people of the Caribbean for a long, long time. And I think he's a really good player. We saw him score 27 of the last over in Toronto here during GT20. So yeah, I mean, it's really good to see him come out and play.
While on the topic, Romario Shepherd looks such a well fleshed out bowling all rounder right now. And that's a very good sign for West Indies.
Yeah, I think he won them the first match. Like Shai Hope scored a century, but he scored a quick fire. I think 28 ball half century just to get that run rate up. They needed about 100 runs in the last 9 overs, and he, along with Shai Hope, just blasted England out of the game, which was very unexpected. So yeah, I think Shepherd is a very good player
And
to
then
watch out.
today also they got what 40 or something, 38.
Yeah, he is being very consistent, and he's someone who can serve West Indies cricket. Someone like Jason Holder, but just a much younger version, less
And
experienced version.
stronger.
Yeah, and taller. Everything.
Everything just looks better.
Just
Yeah,
to add, like I
They
just saw
hope
the
continuing.
just saw the T20 squad for West Indies, and Andre Russell is back.
Russell is the captain. Yeah, we're going to get to that.
No,
That's
Russell's
very
the captain. No,
left of me
Robman
to
Fowle's the
consider that.
captain.
Captain Rovman Powell is the captain, not the captain. Is
Yeah. Robman
Russell is the
Fowle's the
captain.
Powell is the captain, and
No,
Hope
Russell,
is the Russell is not a captain.
not the
Robman.
captain. Sorry, Robman Powell is the captain,
Yeah,
and
Russell is back.
Russell's back. So the whole discussion is based on
Oh,
how
how
it's
good
suddenly a
Graham.
left field call to bring him 2 years later. Uh, but we're gonna get to that again. Before that, Shea Hope manning the West Indies ship in ODIs for years now. He's been. It's a very difficult job. There's been some talk about his strike rate from time to time, but that's going to happen when you play for a team like this. When you play for a
2020.
team where everyone used to just go out there and throw their wickets away, that is exactly the kind of strike rate you expect him to have.
Yeah. No, and I think 2023 Shy Hope is different from the Shy Hope of the years before. You can see he's developed a really good power game now where he's taking on bowlers. Even the six he hit of Rayan Ahmed today was against the turn, but he hit it so well down the ground.
He was a fielder
Essentially,
at long off. He had
yeah,
no
well
chance
long
of
off
that.
and had no chance, right? Whereas similar shot, Nurul Hasan Sohan's getting caught at mid on. Um, and I think with West Indies, Justin Greaves didn't play this series. He's one of the guys who had a really good Super 50, but he was injured, I think, towards the end of Super 50, so didn't get to play. But what do you guys think about Rayan Ahmed? Rayan Ahmed, Gas Atkinson, Bryden Cars all look pretty good prospects for
I
England.
think Rehan Ahmed is Fardin Kibra's boy.
No,
From
yo, we got the same haircut. Yo.
Why did you bring it up?
Yo, today, moment of the game. As soon as Rayan Ahmed came on to bowl, Butler was telling him, Shay, you got no idea which way he's turning the ball. Phil Sut's telling him, mate, he's about to play around this straight one and this, that. And then he hits him down the ground. And then the next ball,
Gone.
honestly, next ball, when I saw Rayan Ahmed's grip, I thought he was going to bowl another leggy. But this guy even confused me because he bowled such a big googly. Freaking Shayop had no idea and just chipped it too short mid wicket. And these guys were laughing. Phil Salt was dying. He's like laughing at his face. He's like, I told you, you had no idea. And I was like, but this is like what you want to see in ODI cricket, not Ben Stokes saying, I think 50 over cricket is too much. Sachin Tendulkar talking about 40 overs. Oh, no. Sachin Tendulkar said
25 overs.
25 overs, 4 innings.
Yeah. On a Jata.
What a guy, bro. Guinness.
So
Uh,
basically, he feels like he's closing the door behind him. Anyways, oh, sorry, what were we talking about? It was Rehan Ahmed. And one thing about this bowling attack, one negative thing. See, England trying these new faces, it's great. It's honestly the best approach right now for them. But maybe they need to bring in that little bit of experience to back them up because
Yes.
right now they look a little too, I don't want to say raw, but uncut,
Undercooked.
perhaps.
Undercooked. Mm,
Undercooked,
yeah.
uncut,
Yeah.
unfiltered,
Yeah.
and not exactly ready for this level of cricket,
Maybe
especially
some
not when the
guidance.
games get more intense. Need some
Someone
Look,
to
guidance.
guide
Gujarat
them.
Titans have
Yeah.
played like 5 or 10 list A matches minimum, like maximum. Sorry, like they haven't played that many.
Who
Brandon
do you, who
Clark.
do you want to see in the team? Like two, three guys. I would like to see David Malan just because it's too unfair on him to get dropped.
I don't know why they said they dropped him on form. This guy was the highest run scorer for them on the World Cup. What the hell's Rob
What
Key
form?
smoking? What form? What are you
Too
dropping him
much
on?
dropping him on good form. Like
Like he scored too many runs. Yeah, shouldn't have
yeah.
scored that many runs. And then why are you giving him a lengthy contract if you're not gonna pick him? Makes no sense.
They're trying the whole Dawit Malan, the T20 player trope, which got played out 2 years ago. And I don't know why they're still trying instead of playing him in his best format. It was good to see that they gave Zach Crawley another proper go. He
Hmm.
unfortunately didn't capitalize on it completely. So maybe Dawid Malan could possibly come
Ollie,
in
you
his
surprised
place.
Ollie Pope didn't get a game?
That's a good point. Yeah.
Ben
Well,
Duckett played well today.
Yeah.
Bender
Okay,
had played
okay,
well, yeah.
okay, okay. Question. And my brother actually raised this earlier today. How is someone who's Ben Duckett's a pretty good test match opening batsman right now, we could say. And he's done well in the last year or so that he's been in the squad. How
Important
is
figure in
some,
that whole baseball mantra.
yeah, exactly. How is someone who's good enough to be a test match opener playing number 4 in an ODI side? Do you think there's a bit of a mismatch in their balance with that?
Yeah, as long as
I
he's
think,
getting runs.
I think also there are too many batsmen who are kind of openers for this side. You see Phil Salt, Crawley, then you're saying Malan, then Duckett. Even Ollie Pope opened in some games, I think, like for yeah, a couple of games before. So they are trying new stuff, I think, trying different stuff. It's not like he's not capable of batting at the opening position in ODIs, but it's just like they're trying different
Bring
stuff.
back Chopra.
And the
He's
thing
gonna
about
he's
Duckett
gonna be
is
back.
he bats 3 and 4 in T20s as well. So
Yeah.
that experience comes in handy over here in ODIs. And as long as he's adjusting, as long as he's getting the runs, not everyone will get to open, as Sagar said. They have a lot of openers, not everyone will get that opportunity. So I think it's best for him if he finds that slot in the middle
They're
because they need more and more middle order batters now. Butler, I don't think Butler has a lot of cricket left in him, unfortunately. So they're going to need more and more people to man the middle order now.
and I think they're trying that same Roy and Hales mantra again with Jax and Phil Salt, that going hard from ball one kind of thing. So
Phil
they're
Salt,
trying to they're trying to stick to the template, but just improve it a little bit, I guess, for lack of better words.
Let's talk a bit about the T20 squad. Russell getting his chance once again. His final hurrah. You see it that way?
Sabir Hossain Sagar, please give us your.
yeah, I think with the World Cup in mind, they've picked him in the squad. And looking at the past, like his track record of representing the national side, you have to believe this is his last hurrah. One last time for
Yeah,
him
he's
to try.
sending his boys back for one last ride.
Yeah,
One
him,
last.
Holder, Puran, Hetmeyer. Yeah, these are some of the guys that are well known to the trading world and the newbies as well. So I think it's one last chance for all of them to bring back some sort of glory for the T20 side.
Especially given that they're going to be playing at home.
Yeah,
Looking at
Run.
England's T20 squad, are you a little surprised that, the likes of Adil Rashid, even Reece Topley recovering from the injury, Tymal Mills, Moeen Ali, they're all coming back?
yeah,
Yeah, I'm surprised. I actually didn't think that they would. Well, I know it's a World Cup year coming up in 6 months or so, but I thought, you know, because England players talk about workload management and all these things, and they're thinking about what's out there for them in the next few months and whatnot. I thought some of these guys would rest or go home, or some of them played in the T10 and stuff like that. But yeah, I guess it's interesting. Is Rehan Ahmed in that squad?
Yeah,
Rehan Ahmed's in the squad.
Oh,
along with Adil Rashid.
yeah, I don't think both of them are gonna play. They'll only play one of them. So
There's a guy called John Turner.
John Turner, so he's from South Africa, obviously.
I've never heard his
But
name or anything.
he's played like 10 or 15 matches maximum.
Wokes has
Very
been brought
quick,
in.
90 miles per hour kind of bowler. So he was picked earlier in the year in a series, but then got injured. So then they had to replace it with someone else. And but I think good prospect.
So they have Gus Atkinson as well as John Turner who can bowl at 140s.
Yeah.
Nice. I don't know why they picked Chris. He's like 35 years old.
Who? Taimal Mills? Taimal
No,
Mills is their dead bowler.
Yeah, no, Chris Wokes.
Oh, Chris
Chris Wokes.
Wokes.
Yeah.
Mr.
Oh,
Perfection.
fairly good question, actually.
Actually,
Not sure
yeah.
how much Chris Wokes still has left to offer. And if he does, you might as well try that in ODIs. You need some experience in the ODI squad
Yeah.
too, right?
Yeah.
Anyways, now I think we can move on to. We're going to briefly talk about it because it's been a while since that series ended. The India Australia series. Overall, neither team really played to their full strength. But from what we are hearing, India are trying to plan ahead with this current team that they're playing against Australia. Maybe a few of the big names are going to come in, but most of them aren't. How does this squad look overall?
Welcoming back the boydom.
I think, Acha,
Ball.
yeah,
Wala, wala, wala,
this,
wala.
this squad is good at home, very good at home, as but they still have some, like, it's very, as we talked about England ODI side, right? It's very raw, it's very uncooked, and it's all directly coming from the IPL or the Syed Mushtaq Ali Trophy, like the domestic T20 tournament, just with a couple of experienced players like Surya Kumar Yadav. So I think this ploy shouldn't be working when they're playing high quality sides in in a big tournament like the World Cup. They need experienced guys like the Rohit Sharmas, Virat Kohli's, Bumrahs. So at least,
Jay Shah said
yeah,
Rohit Sharma does not have a guarantee for the T20 World Cup. I was like, what?
that's I think, yeah, they need to change at least half.
And he actually said this in an interview, and I was like, bro, what?
Like 6 to 7 players need to go in order to bring the more experience, like Shami's, Bumrah's, Siraj, or like
No.
Kuldeep,
What do
those
you
kind
guys
of
think
players.
about Ravi Bishnoi becoming the number one T20I bowler after one series?
Highly overrated bowler, and there's a glitch in the system. That's all you can say.
My God, ICC.
No, the system is owned by India. India runs the system. That's what it is.
ICC rankings are such a sham. Like,
I have a explanation for it. Maybe this was the last hurrah for Ravi Bishnoi because they're not going to pick him for the World Cup. So as he performed well in the series, the Indian Cricket Council just wanted to bid him a good farewell and just put him
Indian
over.
cricket.
I want to disagree, but that's exactly what they did with him in 2022. That's literally exactly what they did. They kept him around all the way from February to the Asia Cup and then dropped him just before the World Cup.
I think they're going to do the same now. Also, with Chahal picking up wickets, you might even see him in the T20 squad. I don't know, because he's picking up a lot of wickets in the domestic cricket that he's
Why
playing.
is Chahal still out of the T20 squad? It doesn't make any
Exactly.
sense
Chahal
anymore.
shouldn't be out in the first place. There's
He
something
got
up
picked
with the
for
board.
the thing series for ODIs. That's it. No T20Is. Honestly, India does everything well until a tournament comes, and then they start picking people on like form,
Potential.
high potential, social media attention, things like that.
So basically, before a major tournament, India becomes BCB.
Yeah. And then they mess it up again in the tournament. But
No, honestly, I don't
Rinku Singh has to be a fixture.
He has to be a sure
Easy,
shot at this point.
Yeah.
No
easily.
debate.
No, no, no. Actually,
But
Indian, they're picking between Rinku Singh and Ishan Kishan. Like it's
Or
a
Jitesh
debate.
Sharma, you know, Jitesh
How?
Sharma.
How
Sorry,
they're
sorry,
not
not
like
sorry,
going
my bad. Not Ishan Kishan. Jitesh Sharma, other
Jitesh
wicket
Sharma.
keeper.
Yeah.
Yeah, my bad. So I think Rinku Singh should have been a sure shot. I don't know where this debate is even coming from. What do you guys think?
how do you leave out Rinku Singh? You
Oh,
cannot leave him out.
yeah.
He is undroppable at this in the form that he's in. Also, like you said, like I think, yeah, like Shagor said, maybe you need to drop 6, 7 guys to bring in the big guns. Who do you want back? You definitely want Rohit and Kohli back, 100%. You definitely want somebody like a Jadeja back. You definitely want the fast bowling all rounder back. You want Hardik back.
Bumrah.
You
He's
you
the
can't
captain
you
after all.
can't drop Shami. You can drop Shami. You can drop Bumrah. That's 6 guys back already.
Yeah.
If you're pulling 6 guys in at least who are out of the team or out of the setup before the tournament, what's the point of building this sort of team and
Yeah.
then
This whole
the
pipeline or
gelling that they
whatever.
build?
Yeah. Yeah.
No, no,
Yeah.
like the gelling or the understanding that they have,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
then come the tournament, it's of no use. And you bring in these guys who are obviously proven, but they've been out of the system for a while, and as good as they are, as proven as they are, you always need that gelling regardless of who's playing.
Yeah.
If let's say Kohli goes out of the team for whatever reason, he comes back after a year or so for injury or whatever, he will need a couple weeks to adjust, or a couple games at least. And you do the same with 6 players, makes it even more difficult. I wouldn't say difficult, but you sort of
It's not the
you shoot
same.
yourself in the foot. You shoot
Yeah.
yourself in the foot in terms of you're not giving your team the ability to do the best they could have done if you had integrated these players earlier on.
Yeah.
That's a fair point. Now, the point Shagor raised about Jitesh, here's the problem. Ishan Kishan is inconsistent with the bat, and his glove work literally cost them the 30-20 I. Jitesh
Yes.
Sharma was considered as the second keeper, and there is no other keeper exactly in the radar who is, up and ready to just be included in the squad because they don't want KL Rahul involved in the
Classic.
T20I squad anymore.
Mhm.
That leaves India in a kind of a precarious position. They may have to just play Ishan Kishan
Sanju
even if
Samson.
he's not
Why
performing.
why can't they play Rahul instead of Jitesh or Kishan?
Rahul and Jitesh don't play the same role, so that could be one argument. But instead of Ishan, I guess, I mean, if Rahul is more consistent with the bat, even with a poorer strike rate, and of course a very good gloveman behind the stump, he may make a case for himself.
Yeah, I think
And
that's
in T20s you can open the batting and keep wickets without
Oh no,
any
that's easy.
issues.
Even in ODIs,
Right.
that's easy
Right.
now.
And
Not a
exactly.
concern.
But I think this whole strike rate drama and whatnot is like too much around KL Rahul, because KL Rahul is one of those guys that picks up eventually, right? You kind of have to give him that initial phase, and you have to agree. And I think you look at the way Rohit Sharma is batting nowadays. If he's taking the load in the power play, you don't have to worry about Rahul going at 120 for the first 20 balls or whatever. If he's gonna blast it at 145 for the next 20. Um, India's missing Rishabh Pant. I think it's
Absolutely, 100%, 100%.
unfortunately, yeah.
But just to play devil's advocate here, Rohit Sharma hasn't had an out and out good IPL season in years. He's had a few
Mm.
good innings here and there, but he's not
Mm.
had a good season of the IPL. He's
Yeah,
also not had a particularly good time in the T20 World Cups since 2012. I can't think of a single T20 World Cup where he, had a phenomenal tournament like he does in the ODI World Cups. So
yeah,
Jesha might kind of make a valid point here that Rohit shouldn't be considered an auto choice, especially not when Hardik Pandya is the main candidate for captaincy in the
captaincy.
T20
Yeah,
World Cup.
yeah.
But
I
again,
think
then
for
again, you
someone like
can
Rohit,
solve this. Yeah,
no, go
go
ahead.
ahead. No, you can solve
For
this
Yeah, go
someone like
ahead.
entire, keeper, captain, a whole debate finisher, all these debates with just one jersey number 7. But I digress.
he, Rohit sort of plays on his reputation, not on form or anything. We know he may have not been having the best T20 form as of late, be it IPL or T20Is or whatever in World Cups. But someone like Rohit plays purely on reputation, nothing else. Even if he has scored 10 ducks leading up to the World Cup, he still plays the World Cup only on reputation. That's it. You cannot question someone like Rohit and his batting. You cannot question someone like Rohit on his form. So, and even if he does play the World Cup, he might lose you the first three games, but come the finals, he'll show up 100%. So you play Rohit regardless of whatever. I think Jay Shah maybe, just maybe, might be, putting him on a tight leash. Look, you're not auto choice. At least we'll make it we'll make it seem like to you that you aren't, but you are. Just so that you get your act together.
But then that makes no sense, because if they're saying something like that, right? And then they're allowing, I understand if they allow Rohit Sharma and Virat Kohli to take the ODI series off in that South Africa tour, but then they come and play the T20Is again because it's a T20I World Cup year. But they're allowing to skip the whole white ball series, and then they'll like freaking subcontinent cricket boards are so fucking stupid. Like, I actually don't know. Like, there's that. And then you got Pakistan. We haven't even talked about Pakistan and their drama yet.
Yeah, I was just about to say the same thing. Like when you said subcontinent boards are stupid. No, like all four boards, we'll say big four. Let's say we'll leave out Afghanistan for now. All four
Least
boards
Which big
problematic,
four?
are
least
Which big
problematic
four?
board is Afghanistan, ironically somehow. No
exactly. That's
drama,
why.
no
That's
no.
why. Exactly.
Uh,
So what I was saying is, out of the, let's say, the big four boards in Asia, they're all their own special kind of stupid. India is doing way too much. Like they're doing the most outlandish shit they could have ever done, only because they have too many good players in the pipeline, and they basically run the entire world of cricket. Bangladesh is too busy, covering up all their, scandals, too busy trying to promote the wrong people, putting in the wrong people in charge,
Mhm.
and, not even listening to players who've been assaulted, supposedly. Pakistan is too busy with their government drama. Who's the prime minister now? So who makes the cricket board? Who chooses the cricket board president, for example, or past players walking out of their positions and new players coming in, and taking 18 traveling staff for 15 players to an Australia series. And then you've got Sri Lanka, who's basically having a civil war in the cricket board. So all of Asian cricket is basically its own, Bollywood
Who
movie.
can fight?
And
Yeah,
then
exactly.
exactly who's got the bigger fight going on. And
Yeah.
so I mean, it's not really surprising why cricket is so big in Asia. And I think it's sort of both the boards having too much power and the fans making too much of it. They sort of go hand in hand.
with Australia, on the other hand, even though they lost the series, I think one thing they did well, and these are the little things Australia always managed to do well, is the fact that they kept the big names, the Travis Heads, the Glenn Maxwells, all of them around the squad, as many of them as they could. They obviously couldn't keep the fast bowlers around. They had an exhausting month and a half already in India. So they kept them around. Just stay around the squad. You don't have to play all the games. Just stay around, just so that, the gelling process that you were talking about, they could go through with that. These guys don't suddenly have to come out and bat after not showing up for any of the T20Is. No, these guys have been around. They're still the first choice. They're still quote unquote auto choice, but you're giving the appropriate amount of chances to the younger guns, and that's always good to see. So that's also why we're fairly confident that Australia will once again show up when time comes for the T20 World
This
Cup
was like
in
Australia's
2026.
C
Basically,
team playing in India. The
they
players coming
they
and
they
going. And
they couldn't
Maxwell
have
did it
even
again
cared
by
less.
himself in one game. Freaking hell.
Yeah, I mean, you see the Australian media, they're saying, oh, yeah, it's after a World Cup, this and that. You have to respect that it's a national team tour to India. But the thing is, the
They
amount
keep
of,
doing this after every World Cup, have meaningless tours 3 days after the World Cup. They did
yeah,
this last
so
year too. Like,
in Australia, the amount of people who actually cared about the World Cup happening as it was already at, a record low. And then an India series away after winning the World Cup, after beating India in the final, it's virtually zero viewership.
yeah.
I think
Speaking of
someone from
Australian,
the
what they actually care about.
Australian teams, someone from the Australian team was saying that. I think maybe Stoinis or someone that I don't know what the point of this series is, but
Exactly.
as it's an international commitment, so we'll respect it and we'll
We
play. But
respect it.
hopefully for the future, maybe Mitchell Marsh was saying that we'll look into it because some of the guys didn't have time to celebrate the World Cup, which is unfair.
Yeah.
The 2 days of the World Cup, you can't have a game.
That's why Travis had mixed the first three matches or the first two matches
Because he
because he
was
was
out, he
too
was
drunk.
stoned, he
He
was
was
out
out
of his
cold.
mind. Yeah.
He was gone.
Imagine if India
He's
won the
like,
World Cup. Just imagine. Yeah. If India won the World Cup, for example, how many of those players do you think would have played the T20 series?
I mean, we
none.
already had very few of them.
Already they didn't
We
play,
only
right?
had
Who?
Kishan and Surya Kumar Yadav. That's
No,
it. They were the only
basically
two on
only
the squad.
Surya Kumar Yadav was the one who consistently played the games,
In the World
like
Cup.
Because
ODI.
he
Not even
was captain.
consistently. He even came in like halfway through after
Yeah,
Hardik
like he
Pandya.
played a handful of games, but the other ones didn't play more than 1 or 2 games. So yeah,
There were only literally just these two guys, so there's not even much to talk about. But again, focusing once again on Australia and what they actually care about, which is Test cricket. David Warner and Mitchell Johnson. What is this drama all about? All of a
Oh
sudden,
my God!
I think
Someone.
Warner deserves it. Warner deserves it 100%. Warner
It's
is
been
just
coming for a long time, and apparently he sent him a risky text at the start of the year or something. Apparently disrespecting him or something.
Warner is as out of pocket as they come. You know, Warner doesn't care about what people
Except
think.
it's in India. Except when it's in
Yeah,
India.
exactly. All he cares about, and I think you sort of understand their mentality because when he got accused of the sandpaper gate, people really took it out on him, and he sort of. I think you can understand him becoming bitter because he saw people who weren't really supporting him through that time. They took their shots at him. Whereas Stephen Smith sort of got away a bit, I'd say marginally easier than David Warner, because like I spoke
he was
about this
also not
earlier,
as
maybe on
much
the
as
podcast.
fault as Warner, right? Smith.
Yeah.
Yeah, so from what I understand and what I've said earlier, maybe on the podcast, I'm not sure. This whole thing came about because Warner had a spat with De Kock, and then Warner had a spat with Rabada, and then Rabada gave him multiple send-offs, and then when Warner wanted to clap back, he was given sanctions, and then Warner was like, if they can break the rules and not suffer the consequences, so can we. And then he goes on to encourage Bancroft to pull out the sandpaper, and then we all know the rest. So Warner was basically the perpetrator who set everything in motion, the instigator, if you will. So he did have to bear the, a
Grant.
bigger portion of
Brand. Yeah.
the responsibility. Yeah. So him coming out like this, I saw Warner at the T20 World Cup last year when I went in to be a flag bearer for the World Cup games, and he was out there, practicing. And he wasn't even practicing in the nets. It was just Aaron Finch, Cameron Green, Smudge. And then so Cameron Green comes up and gives us high fives and everything because he's almost as tall as the balcony above him where we're looking at them from. And one of my friends, he goes up and he asks Warner, "Why aren't you batting?" And Warner goes like, "I don't play cricket anymore." So he's just taking a piss at this point. He couldn't. For him, it's a joke. He's just enjoying his time, not
It's not
enjoying like
everything.
Shakib said he would. Yeah,
No.
and Shakib is enjoying elections. So Warner is
Sagar,
he's like,
don't say this in front of Sagar. He's gonna feel hurt.
so Warner is like basically he'll play for as long as he likes, and then he'll just walk off. And I think
And
even with the
he
World Cup,
kind of
he said
announced his retirement already. He said he's
6 months
gonna.
ago.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
said this is his last
So
series.
Alvi, from your talk, I'm not actually understanding which side are you on. Are you on Johnson's side that yeah he's correct in saying all those, or are you on Warner's side?
Yeah,
Because
Warner's a
he
crook.
seems diplomatic.
100%. Warner's a
Yeah,
crook.
you're
I'm
on
on Johnson's
Mitchell
side.
Johnson's side. Yeah. So
Easy,
yeah,
easy.
no,
And
I
and
disagree.
beyond the scandal thing, just on a general common sense level, Mitchell Johnson has a much more, I'd say, he has a better moral compass than David Warner, from what I've seen. David Warner is just, I feel like he's very selfish, but most of Australia feels the same.
But
Sagar, what's your
so
view?
yeah, so we can say the same thing about Shakib, right? The corruption or whatever scandal Aksu thing.
Yeah, why
So
not?
yeah, so the thing is, they have
So we're
served.
calling Shakib
They have
Warner
served
now,
what
yeah?
is in the rule book said, right? They have served their punishments. So what's the point of bringing all that up to David Warner, who is announcing his retirement, who has served Australian cricket for a long time, apart from that small pledge,
Yeah.
the
So
sandpaper
this,
thing. So
this
it
I agree.
tarnishes
This I
his whole
agree.
career. Johnson saying all these at the end of like his
No,
career.
no. Warner tarnished his own career, not Johnson. Johnson pulling this out from the past was uncalled for. He could have left
Yeah,
it alone.
yeah.
But now that he's done it, I am definitely supporting his statements or his notion
But
towards Warner.
apparently Warner actually ignited the fire in Johnson to actually do this, because Johnson said that he had a chat with Warner earlier in the year in 2023 where he felt disrespected by Warner,
Not
and
surprised.
since then he kind of wanted to
Get
essentially
back.
be vocal against or retaliate against Warner, and this was, I guess, his way of doing it. But that also begs the question that, Warner's talked a lot about, oh, I've changed as a person, I'm not the same person, and all those things and whatnot. And so, what is he doing to, rile up Mitchell Johnson over text in a conversation? Wow.
I think Warner and his wife are basically the Cricket Australia equivalent of Shakib and Shishir.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. It's just all they're involved in everything India or everything business related everywhere
Except the cricket.
except the cricket. It's
At
just
least at least Warner had the decency to say, I don't play cricket anymore. Shakib
yes.
wouldn't even say that.
Say
He'll say,
that
no, I'll
no.
play all three formats.
Yeah, I'll
Except
roll
when
up.
I'm mentally stressed.
Or
Mentally stressed.
when I don't have to go and sign deals everywhere else. Yeah.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. If I again had to play devil's advocate, the whole point that Mitchell Johnson raised about Warner not deserving a farewell game is
Absolutely.
I get it. Like you give him 3 games and then the whole thing is set up. He's confirming his spot for 3 tests. First of all, it's unlikely that he's going to underperform so terribly that you're going to drop him. You haven't dropped him in all these years. It's very unlikely that he's going to get dropped now.
Hmm.
And then, even more importantly, Australia have struggled to find an opening partner for David Warner for years, and then they found Khawaja. They don't really have the best replacements ready in the wing. They have a lot of talented batters still waiting. Some of the more likely candidates right now are the ones we've already seen play international cricket, like maybe even Renshaw or definitely Cameron Bancroft. He's
Bankrupt.
gotten a lot of backing.
Yeah.
But having said all of that, Warner was going to play the 3 tests anyway. That was Johnson's complaint, right? That no, you can't just guarantee him the first 2 tests then. But again, he is going to play. That's the whole point. Regardless of how he performs, and he never underperforms all that much in Australia. He was going to play, and he's just telling you that this is it. He's going to retire, and he's going to have this whole farewell thing. Johnson had his own farewell in Perth. I don't know if you guys remember. They brought a truck for
And
him
at
to
least
drive a truck.
and yeah,
Johnson
yeah.
never ball tempered, and he had the best fast bowling spell I think the world has ever seen in the history of fast bowling.
No, absolutely,
So
absolutely.
he
Best
deserved
series.
that.
Like the summer of
100%.
Mitchell Johnson is the summer of Mitchell Johnson. We
And
remember
Yeah.
it
that's
for
on
that. Nothing.
Australia Cricket Board for picking David Warner, right? Now, as they have picked him after that incident, that's behind.
And it's been years. You have punished
Yeah,
him.
why
You have
you bring
punished
that
him, as
back
Sagar said.
after
You can't
Warner has
stay
just
stuck
helped
on that.
Australia win the World Cup? Like it doesn't make any sense.
And I think at least the fact that he said he will play they have 2 tests against West Indies towards the end of January, and
Yeah,
he's gone and said, I'll play Sydney Test as the last test, and that's it. At least he's allowed someone else to come in and make a claim
yeah,
for 2 tests, right? He's not been so selfish. Warner's questionable character, but at least he's not been so selfish to take all 5 tests guaranteed and said, I'll play all 5 tests and I want to play. So at least he's finished it at the 6th innings. And, knowing Pakistan's bowling lineup, he might not even bat all 6 innings. It might be 4 or might be 5.
Focusing again on sorry, what I keep losing my
Pakistan,
train of thought.
Australia, Pakistan.
Pakistan, Australia. There's not too much to say yet because we've only seen glimpses from the practice games. But Shan Masood is captain all of a sudden.
Bro, the funniest thing is I've been taunting this Shan Masood appointment as captain for like 2 months in one of my team group chats because there's some guy in the team who hates Shan Masood. So I've been taking the Mickey out. I've been like, yo, Shan Masood's gonna be the next
The Mickey
captain.
Arthur.
Yeah. No, no. I've been like, yo, Shan Masud's gonna be the next captain, this, that, right? And this guy just
Only
gets
because
riled
he
up
can speak
every time.
English.
Yeah.
Only because Shan
And
Masood can
these
speak
guys just
English.
came out and announced Shan Masud as the next captain, and I was like, what the hell? Guy wasn't even in the squad, bro. Like he wasn't. Oh my god! And it's funny because they've gone and Wahab Riaz all of a sudden retired, became national selector. Sohail Tanveer was supposed to play U.S. Open in U.S. This week, but he retired from everything to become chief national junior selector. Mohammad Hafiz retired to become director of cricket
And
and
coach.
And head
and
coach.
coach. And
And
apparently
he's
they
gonna play
have not kicked
PSL under
out.
Babar.
Huh?
And he's
No,
playing
no, no,
PSL
no,
under
no, no,
Babar.
no. None of them are playing
Retired from
PSL. They
all.
all retired from
Oh,
every
okay.
cricket. Yeah, yeah.
All formats. Okay.
All
How can he
formats.
be coach and play at the
Yeah,
same
yeah,
time?
they can. Um, the only funny thing, all of this is still not the funny part. They appointed Salman Butt, the
Yeah.
Okay.
orchestra. I mean, the
Now
big
see, this
man.
will be Harvey versus me. He
No,
will say the right thing was done. I'll say no.
But
and
they
then
cancelled
and
him
and
immediately, though.
then they canceled him immediately because the uproar was so high. Everyone was like, bro, why are you bringing a fixer into that thing? Get the hell out. So next day Wahab Riaz came and he said, all right, I'm not appointing him anymore because this is too much. It's obviously he's basically given in to the social media uproar. And then I think Kamran Akmal's also in there. Not a lot of people are
Wicket
happy
keeping
about
coach.
that. No, no,
Fielding
no.
coach.
Selector.
Selector.
Okay.
And a lot of people are not a lot of people are happy with that because obviously Kamran Akmal is also questionable character. Given we've seen a lot questionable things from him, and to round it all up, apparently Mickey Arthur is not even fired. Grant Bradburn
He's
is
not. He's
not
the
fired.
director of cricket, assistant acting director
Yeah,
of
yeah, yeah,
something like
something
that.
like that. They will find roles for them in the near future. That's the um direction from
They
the
love
board.
him too much to let him go. Now
Yeah,
here's
yeah.
here's my take on another guy they love too much to let go.
Zoom coach.
Darren Sammy.
Sarfaraz has been doing well in the test side, fairly well, since his comeback end of last year, or around this time.
Mhm.
Then why wasn't he simply appointed as the test captain if you really need a captain so desperately all of a sudden?
I think they've thought who can be captain for 2 to 3 years. They don't have guarantee that Sarfraz can play 2 to 3 years. Um, Shan's still 34, I think, so he has two
Still
or three years.
34? You're
34.
saying as if he's 25.
No, no, no. But with Sarfraz,
He's
Sarfraz
what, 50?
is like very close to getting dropped again anytime, right? Like they're just waiting for another bad performance, and even in the practice game, he dropped 3 catches. So like they're
Really?
just waiting for a chance to drop him, right? So
Also,
they're not gonna give him
Rizwan in the
captain.
wings,
Huh?
with Rizwan in the wings,
Exactly. Rizwan's
Sarfraz
like waiting,
has to
waiting
do
to.
very well to keep his spot. So I think that's
They
why.
do try to somehow play them both together. They've done that as well. So that could work. Like, that takes away the whole, Sarfraz having to keep problem. He doesn't need to keep if Rizwan's playing in the
And
same
then
11 as him.
you go
I
back.
heard because Shan Masood speaks fluent English better than the rest of his teammates, that's why he was appointed the captain.
In
I just said,
Pakistan
yeah,
cricket,
exactly.
anything is possible. In
Well,
Pakistan
Jata.
cricket, Jata.
And the fact that then the question comes, what were you doing with Babar for 4 years then? Was the whole point.
Uh,
Anyways, have we covered everything? I think we've pretty much covered most topics. I think one last topic that I wanted to cover. We're not going to go too extensively into the whole IPL thing because it's going to come in more with the auction coming in soon. But this whole Hardik Pandya exchange thing, did it feel like this, uh, sort of a power
Shit,
flex move?
shit. Yeah, I
It's a
think you
PR
said it
stunt.
right. Yeah, PR
what
stunt.
exchange?
No,
Hardik Pandya
basically,
has been exchanged from Gujarat to Mumbai, back to Mumbai, basically.
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah. The first they
for
didn't
17
trade him.
crore,
Yeah.
for 17 crore and some undisclosed amounts. So this is the funny part. In 2011 or 2008 or some year, I forgot, Ravindra Jadeja was talking to another team behind the trading window or the auction window or whatever, and he was banned for a year because you're not allowed to actually do that. Hardik Pandya had a contract with Mumbai Indians out of Gujarat Titans' side for the undisclosed amount initially. And then when Gujarat Titans got the wind of it, they were like, I will pay you 17 crore on top, and then the undisclosed amount stays. What is this soap opera shit going on? Like, what is this? And how can something like this be allowed? This is literally just bullying a team into giving your
It's
player away.
borderline
And then
embezzlement.
Yeah, literally.
and then there were memes that Mumbai Indians have agreed to pay Kunal Pandya 17 crore to not play for them.
The fact that Krunal Pandya captained for more than half the last season of IPL and his team even made it to the top four. This tournament is so whack. It's almost fun if you
Wow.
don't take it seriously.
It's all scripted. So I mean,
Lucknow Super Giants, right? Lucknow Super
Lucknow
Giants.
Super Giants,
yeah.
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 And Jata was. I think one thing that we didn't talk about is the Under 19 Asia Cup, which is going on right now.
Yeah,
So
there's
what do
another
you think?
Hardik in the UAE team.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah, there is. There's another Hardik in the under 19 UAE team. But yeah, the sudden change of captain for Bangladesh under 19 was sort of a surprise.
Yeah, it's caught
I
off
wouldn't even say
guard by that.
surprised because we saw this last year. Sorry, not last year, but in 2022 as well, right?
Yeah. And no, I think Alvi mentions it's a good point to mention because the RR Amin has been captain for about 18 months. He captained everywhere, everything. Actually performed well as a captain too, more for the most part. And now all of a sudden Rabbi's captain.
Doesn't make sense. Like few months away from the World Cup.
They did this in 2020 World Cup too, technically, where Akbar Ali actually wasn't captain throughout. They tried and tested different guys, and I think there was a New Zealand series right before the World Cup, and they kind of made Akbar Ali the captain there. But that one was different because they tried different guys. They gave everyone a chance to basically captain. And Akbar was finally chosen as the captain, but he'd captained a couple of matches before that throughout their 2-year process. But Rabbi's become captain out of nowhere, and he wasn't captain anywhere for like the last year and a half. So, and Ariful Hassan's playing another under 19 World Cup. Come on, man, really?
So how old was he
How
last
many
time?
times are we
12?
going to see this?
12. I don't know, man.
Out on the topic of out of nowhere, Mushfiq Hassan is flying to New Zealand.
Yeah,
with the
I
Bangladesh
noticed
team.
that. Yeah, I noticed that
Yeah.
in Litton Das pictures. I saw him in the back.
Yeah.
I
So
didn't know. Yeah.
is who's missing out? Taskin? Taskin wasn't going to play anyways, nah? Was
Yeah.
he?
No, but you can have reserve pacers in the squad.
He's not
right?
going. He's as a player. He's going as a reserve.
Reserve, yeah. Especially with fast
Can
bowlers,
we
you need
just
to have reserve.
bring up the squad for the New Zealand series? Who are our fast bowlers for the squad?
Let's see.
Very full.
Till then,
Sariful is definitely playing.
Bangladesh women's also playing against.
Yeah, we're going to talk about the women's team's performance against South Africa. They won the first T20I
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
lost the
And
third
We'll,
one.
we'll bring
there
in
was a-
we'll bring in our women correspondents for that.
Women's correspondent is Shagor. He watches every game.
Shagor or Zarif.
So-
Yeah.
No, any thoughts, Shagor? You follow any of those games?
Yeah, I was actually following the game which they won. I think someone scored like I forgot the name. Shorna maybe. No, Shorna took a 5-wicket haul. I think Shorna took a 5-wicket haul, but someone else, the opener Murshida maybe, she scored a 50. So,
Okay, straight off the bat. Sorry, Shagor. The first
Ball.
thing I've noticed is the fact that we've got our best fast bowler playing in the New Zealand series, Shommo Sarkar. So he's definitely opening the bowling, and then maybe Mustafiz are with him.
Mustafiz.
in tests.
No, we're playing one day.
ODI. We're only playing
No,
one
this
day.
is only one day and T20s. Yes.
There's
Yeah,
no
yeah,
test
yeah.
in New Zealand.
No. Sorry.
Thank God. I mean, it would have been nice if we did play tests there. Actually, we would have been better than Mirpur, but yeah. So Tanzim Sakib, Shoriful, Mustafiz Hassan, Shomwar Quicks, and then so
I have a feeling
Google
they're gonna get battered and smashed after what
Google
speech we served to
Go,
them.
Google has Naim's Afif Hossain's name and Naim Islam's picture, so God knows who's playing.
So here's
Yeah.
the actual
Um,
squad. I'm just presenting it in case it's easier.
Oh yeah. Nazmul, Shanta. Yeah, Shanta's the captain everywhere now, and somehow
Yeah,
Ronnie Talukdar
all formats.
is still relevant.
it's because he's helping Shakib with his
Campaign.
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 How is Ronnie
No, but
Talukdar still there?
again, I'm going to play devil's advocate once again and say that he didn't exactly have the worst time as a T20 opener in this, home season of T20 cricket that we had earlier. So it's fair that we still keep him around and maybe give him at least one or two chances in New Zealand, see how it goes.
Okay, so I think they might be worried about injury with one of these guys, and obviously it'll take some time to fly guys out and stuff in a short series. So they're taking extra pacers. So Mushfiq Hassan kind of going as that. All right, sounds good. Sounds good.
What about your boy,
Is
Raja?
Bijoy getting a game?
Rizal Thomas Raja.
Raja,
Bijoy and Rishad Hossain have gone for full-time water
Water
duties.
boys.
Water boys. I don't know why Kukabura even bothered sending him 4 boxes of stuff.
What about Raja? Why
and no
isn't he
bat.
getting picked?
And no bat.
No
They
bad.
sent everything but a bat. Yeah.
Eh? Hardin?
Huh?
Raja? Why isn't he getting picked? Or is he just a test specialist? I mean,
don't
long
know.
format.
Man, I tried to make sense of a lot of things in Bangladesh cricket. I just can't.
It's
not
best if we
possible.
don't try.
It's
We just take things as they come.
yeah. We're gonna move on to what do you want to move on to now?
The women's game.
Yeah.
So again, a very good start for Bangladesh. Their first victory on South African soil, and that coming on the back of, as Shagor said, the half century from Murshida. A very good finish from our captain. I can't say her first name on air, unfortunately.
Sultana. Sultana.
Sultana. Her last name is Sultana. Jyoti.
Okay,
Jyoti.
Jyoti.
Okay, Jyoti, fine, yeah.
I think she's been
And-
I mean,
carrying the batting
I
for
have
a
a
long time.
relative. I have a relative who has the same name. the
Yeah,
same
it's a
first name.
fairly common name in Bangladesh.
Yeah, and they also live in the States, so they got around that by pronouncing their name as Niger.
Niger.
But that,
That's a tongue twister for me. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
that's more difficult to say.
Simpleton. It's difficult to say. I'm just going to
So
say
Jyoti
Jyoti
it
for
is.
now.
Jyoti.
Yeah. With
But
that
Shorna,
said,
I think she's a 16-year-old, turning 17. She picked up.
Bangladesher Ellis Perry.
Rahul.
it's very funny because you remember in the last Women's ODI World Cup, the only match we won was also on the back of a young wrist spinner. Same here. The women's team seems to produce wrist spinners. The men's team have no clue what
Why?
to do
They
with
have
that.
like 2 or 3 wrist spinners always doing quite well.
Both the football and cricket, the women's team are like rising at a much faster rate than the men's teams. Without any
It's-
funding,
it's-
without much funding.
It's because we have a female prime minister. That's why.
But she has been there for the last. She and another one have been there for the past 30 years. But only now that in the last 5 years. we're getting-
But the Unnayan is happening now. That's why.
Yeah.
There's this pattern we see with women's cricket with these, sort of middling 150 scores. They do induce collapses every now and then. Unfortunately, that's where Bangladesh missed out. Their batting sort of reverted back to its original form once again, getting only 94 in their 20 overs because they couldn't get off to a good start. They were about 18 for 3. And that's once again a problem which led to them losing the game. Once again, you get that 130, 140 mark. In a women's game, you're definitely going to put up a much better fight. But with 90, 100, it's only going to seem like you have a chance, but at the end of the day, you never do. And that's
Also, one thing I would like to say from South Africa's point of view, they did not have their captain, Laura Woolbart.
She played the third match.
She played the third one and she scored a crucial 49 out of 95.
Yeah.
So she's a very she plays everywhere. She's played in Big Bash. She
Yeah.
plays, I think, 100 as well. She played. So she was a big miss for South Africa in the first T20. That also we need to take into account. But I think, yeah, as you said, the batting strategy, they should go like 130, 140
Why,
runs, and
why,
then have the bowlers to defend it.
why was Lata Mandal promoted up the order today?
Yeah, I just
For
saw
the
that
last
now. I
game.
have no idea.
Yeah, kind
I think
of
the message was clear to Lata to just, hold the fort.
hold the fort.
Yeah.
And she did
Yes.
that a little too well, unfortunately.
Became a test match innings, so I'm afraid.
I mean, that's sort of an innings which can come in very handy for the ODI series they're about to play. So you never know. 16th December is the first day the
I'm surprised
ODI
there's a
match.
tour match for the South Africa women 11
Yeah,
versus
yeah, yeah. I
Bangladesh.
saw that too in the
I'm very
schedule.
surprised because
But it's
in
good to see. It's good to see that
this
they're
day you
putting.
don't get to have tour matches.
No, no. But it's good to see they're
Very good
giving a
to see.
little
Yeah,
more
yeah, yeah.
importance. Yeah, a little more importance. So, but
Okay,
I
boys,
think,
I think we're going to have to
yeah,
wrap up. It's been a very long session as is. Understandably, a little longer than average because it is, after all, our first episode. And I would like to thank our viewers as well for, watching and listening to this nonstop blabbering.
yeah. No,
So we'll be
thank you,
back.
boys. It's been good.
Yeah, see you next week.
Goodbye.